Last year, over 115 million people in the United States watched the Super Bowl. It is, by almost any measure, the single largest shared cultural experience in the country. A day of community, high-stakes drama, and collective ritual. And then, there's the rest of you. You're not watching. And it's not because you have to work, or because you just forgot it was on. You are part of a quiet, shadow population that feels a profound and genuine indifference to the whole spectacle. This video isn't for the people who make a big show of not watching, the performative contrarians. This is for the ones who feel a quiet, unshakable neutrality. The ones who feel like they're observing a national obsession with competitive butter sculpting. You can appreciate the skill involved. You can recognize the passion of the fans, but you feel absolutely zero emotional investment in the outcome. It's not hatred. It's not judgment. It's just a blank space. A feeling of being the only person in the room who missed the memo. And it can be lonely in a way that's hard to explain. So, is there something wrong with you? Are you broken? Or is your indifference telling you something important about how you're wired? Here's what most people miss. The first and most fundamental reason has to do with something called your optimal level of stimulation. Think of your nervous system like a speaker. Some people's default volume is a 2 out of 10. To feel engaged and alive, to get to a 7, they need a lot of external input. Loud music, big crowds, high energy. This is the classic extrovert. Their system craves stimulation to reach its peak. But for many others, particularly those who lean toward introversion, your baseline volume is already a 6 or a 7. You don't need much external input to feel perfectly engaged. A quiet conversation, a challenging book, a walk in nature. That's enough to bring you to your optimal state. Now think about what the Super Bowl actually is. Sensorially, it's a 4-hour barrage of extreme stimulation. The roar of the crowd, the chaotic plays, the high-stakes tension, the loud commercials, the 7-layer dip, the overlapping conversations at a party. For a nervous system that seeks stimulation, this is heaven. It's a rocket ship to their optimal zone. But for your nervous system, the one that starts at a 7, it's not a rocket ship. It's a sensory overload. You shoot right past optimal and land squarely in overwhelmed, drained, and anxious. So when you say no thanks to a Super Bowl party, you're not rejecting community. This is the validation reframe. You are not being antisocial. You are instinctively managing your own neurological energy. You're choosing to stay in a state where you can actually function and feel good, rather than submitting to an experience that will leave you feeling completely depleted. Now, let's talk about something that might explain the deep, logical disconnect you feel. It's a psychological concept called locus of control. A person with an external locus of control tends to believe that their life is shaped by outside forces, fate, luck, other people. They're more comfortable being a passenger. But our audience, the introspective achiever, typically has a strong internal locus of control. You believe that you are the primary driver of your own outcomes. You believe your actions should have a direct and tangible impact on the results you get. You are the pilot, not the passenger. And here is where watching a game like the Super Bowl can feel psychologically absurd. It's an activity that demands maximum emotional investment for zero personal agency. You are encouraged to feel ecstatic, devastated, furious, and hopeful over a game in which you have literally no control. To the brain with a strong internal locus of control, yelling at a screen doesn't compute. It's the definition of wasted energy. You're pouring emotion into a void and getting nothing back but a second-hand feeling. It feels, to your logical mind, like a form of voluntary anxiety. And why would I choose to be stressed and agitated over something I can't influence? Your lack of interest isn't because you're boring or unemotional. The reframe is this: your brain is wired to seek out activities where your effort, skill, and choices actually matter. You'd rather spend that energy on a difficult project, learning a new skill, or having a deep conversation, arenas where your input has a measurable result. It's a preference not for less emotion, but for emotion that is tied to meaningful action. And here's where it gets psychologically dense for a specific portion of this audience. For about 15 to 20% of the population, it's more than just introversion or logic. They identify as a highly sensitive person, or HSP. It's crucial to understand, this isn't a disorder. It's a neutral genetic trait. And being an HSP isn't about being emotionally fragile. It's about processing sensory information more deeply. An HSP's brain doesn't just register the sound of the cheering crowd. It processes the pitch, the emotion behind it, and the way it echoes in the room. They don't just see the fast-moving players. They subconsciously track the micro-expressions of the quarterback, the anxiety of the coach, the disappointment of the fan sitting next to them. For an HSP, a Super Bowl party isn't just a party. It's a 3-hour-long sensory assault that can leave them wiped out for days. Every loud cheer, every flash of the screen, every crest and fall of the group's mood is processed with incredible depth and nuance. It's like listening to a single song while your brain is simultaneously trying to transcribe every single instrument in a full orchestra. The feeling of wanting to escape isn't a sign of being too sensitive or dramatic. Here's the reframe. It is the logical conclusion for a nervous system that is performing an immense, unseen amount of processing work. Your retreat is a biological necessity. It's self-preservation, not social rejection. So, we have the introvert's need to manage stimulation, the logical mind's need for agency and control, and the sensitive person's need to prevent sensory overwhelm. Any one of these is enough to explain the indifference, but for many of you, it's a combination of all three. Your unique wiring makes the Super Bowl a psychologically and neurologically expensive event, with very little perceived reward. But this brings up one final meta-level question. Why do other people care so much that you don't care? Why do they say things like, "You're just trying to be edgy," or "You just don't know how to have fun"? The answer is often identity threat. For many, being a fan is a deep part of their personal and social identity. It's how they bond with their family, their friends, their city. When you express total indifference, it can feel, on a subconscious level, like a rejection of their world, a judgment on the thing that brings them community and joy. Their defensiveness isn't really about you. It's a protective mechanism for their own sense of belonging. They're not inviting you to watch a game. They're inviting you to validate their identity. Understanding this shifts you from a position of being judged to a position of understanding. And this leads us to the most powerful point, the ultimate conclusion of this entire analysis. A nervous system that craves intense, collective, high-energy events is a valid way to exist. A logical mind that prefers to invest its energy in things it can directly influence is a valid way to exist. A sensitive brain that processes the world deeply and requires calm and quiet to recharge is a valid way to exist. We don't all have to experience the world the same way. Your brain is not a mistake. Your preferences are not a flaw. They are simply a reflection of your unique operating system. That's it. That's the whole point. Your indifference to the Super Bowl isn't a statement. It's not a rebellion. It's a quiet, a neutral data point that reveals something true about you. How your brain manages energy, how you relate to control, and how you process the beautifully chaotic world around you. It's not something you need to fix or defend or apologize for. It's simply something to understand. If this video hit home for you, if you felt that deep sense of recognition while watching this, that feeling of being seen and finally having the words for an experience you couldn't explain, that is what we do here. We explore the subtle psychology of the introspective mind. If you'd like to feel more understood, consider subscribing and joining our community. Thank you for watching.